There's a film that occupies a distinctive place in American gang cinema by shifting the narrative from masculinity to the lived experiences of young Chicana women growing up in Echo Park, Los Angeles. Rather than presenting gang involvement as a choice, the film frames it as a rite of passage shaped by poverty, systemic neglect, and limited opportunities. Tonight we're going to talk about Mi Vida Loca, released in 1993. Now, the film does take a turn from the conventional rise and fall of typical crime dramas. There's not a singular protagonist whose character arc provides narrative closure or moral clarity. In fact, the film makes a point to tell multiple stories, making almost the entire cast the main character. By taking this approach, the audience is granted many perspectives at the social structure that mirrors the instability of every character's life. This choice in storytelling reinforces the film's central argument. Environments defined by limitations and violence in life do not unfold through transformation, but instead through endurance. Sad Girl and Mousy function as ideological counterpoints rather than moral opposites. Sad Girl's embrace of gang identity reflects the idea that power, protection, and recognition are achieved through emotional hardening, whereas Mousy, on the other hand, embodies a longing for tenderness and domestic stability, yet her aspirations are repeatedly undermined by the same structure that shapes Sad Girl's worldview. The film does not prioritize one path over the other. Both paths expose the psychological cost of survival in an environment that offers no real alternatives and no solid guidance. But the one thing I did enjoy about Mi Vida Loca is its examination of gender within gang culture. The women are neither protected or romanticized. They are agents of violence, loyalty, sexuality, and motherhood. It highlights how girlhood is cut prematurely by responsibility, pregnancy, caregiving, and emotional labor that completely replaces adolescence. This gender difference is a burden that underscores how the patriarchy and economic forces restrict in environments like this long before adulthood even begins. Now, culture most definitely grounds the film in realism, using language, music, neighborhood rituals, and intergenerational dynamics that are presented without translation, signaling that the film is not designed to explain Chicana life or anything like that to an outside audience, but instead represent it as authentically as possible. The refusal to sanitize the culture strengthens the film's political stance, positioning gang life not as a cultural pathology, but as a response to systemic abandonment. But one of the most interesting choices that they make in this film also is the rejection of resolution. There is no redemption arc, no cautionary closure, and no definitive escape. The absence of purification does reflect the cynical nature of the structural violence. Basically, what the audience witnesses is not a singular tragedy, but rather a repeating pattern. And in this way, Mi Vida Loca, it really does challenge viewers to confront their own expectations of justice, reform, and personal responsibility within deeply unequal systems. In my humble opinion, Mi Vida Loca is less concerned with crime than it is consequence. It interrogates how identity is formed when options are limited and how trauma becomes normalized, how survival itself can masquerade as strength. By centering young women whose lives are shaped more by circumstance rather than choice, the film offers a very realistic critique of American myths of individual agency. It stands as a crucial text in understanding not only gang culture, but the social conditions that make them so appealing. Now, this is a movie that I hated as a child because it reminded me so much of the women who raised me. In many ways, they were exactly this way, and not in the good way, in the bad way. However, watching it again through an adult perspective, I did enjoy the movie. Highly recommended. You can currently find it streaming for free on YouTube, and I would like to give a shout out to Esperanza for letting me know that, because I was going to buy this movie until she let me know that you can actually stream it for free, the entire thing. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you've watched it, tell me what you think. If you've never watched it, I highly recommend this movie. I would give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I enjoy the message. And like I said, it really does capture something about the culture specifically and the women. In my opinion, it was done very well.